Hello, 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 hello. You are most welcome to this episode of the Unleash and Thrive podcast. I'm so excited that you're joining us again today. Guess what? We're going to be having the Manifest Conference in the next couple of weeks. And last year's Manifest Conference was so phenomenal. The theme was Step Out and Shine. So in the next couple of weeks, in the next 6 to 7 weeks, you're going to be hearing messages. The podcasts are going to be based on what was shared at last year's Manifest Conference, which was themed Step Out and Shine. There are so many things that God is calling us to do, which is really what the Manifest Conference is based on, us just stepping out into that place in our lives whereby we can do all God is calling us to do. And so I am bringing you these messages from the speakers from last year to remind you of why you need to step out of your comfort zone, why you need to step out and shine. So watch out each week for the next 6 to 7 weeks. We're going to be having the Shine series, and we're going to be sharing messages from Step Out and Shine Manifest Conference 2022. I hope you enjoyed. Remember to share it with somebody else as well. And if you have not registered for this year's Manifest Conference, which is themed Grace to Thrive, I definitely cannot wait to have you register and see you in the room. Have an awesome day.
When I read that scripture from Matthew 5:13-16, and it has to be the Message translation, no other translation. So I'm going to quickly read that, and then we'll just crack on with tonight. Keep them comments coming, and let us know what you're going to buy. Let us know what you would do if fear wasn't an issue as well. All right, so Matthew chapter 5 and verse 13-16. Remy says, I will empower people to be the best version of themselves. I will impact the youth to know their worth and stand for dignity. I'm joining from Kate to Lagos. Wow. Thank you so much, Oluwakemi, for joining. All right, Matthew 5 from verse 13 says, let me tell you why you are here. You are here to be salt seasoning that brings out the God flavors of this earth. If you lose your saltiness, how will people taste godliness? You've lost your usefulness and will end up in the garbage. That's not our portion. I want you to put it in the chat. That's not my portion. I will not lose my usefulness. Verse 14-16 says, here's another way to put it. You are here to be light. You are here to be light. And when you give yourself permission to shine, you are also giving other people the permission to shine as well. So you are here to be light. I get so excited and charged up when I know that God has sent me to this world to shine my light. But I'm going to share with you tonight my journey, my story, and why some of us are still in that place where we're struggling to shine our light, and how you can do that. So you're here to be light, bringing out the God colors in the world. I love colors. If you follow me on social media, you know I love colors. And when I tell people God's favorite color has to be yellow, they're like, no, but God loves colors. So you are here to be light, to bring out the God colors. God is not a secret to be kept. We're going public with this. And I'm going to go into my story, but initially when I started my business, when I was trying to transition into business, I felt that I had to keep my Christianity on one place and do business, but I struggled a lot. I'll tell you my story. So we are going public with this, as public as a city on a hill. Lights cannot hide. You cannot hide. If I make you light bearers, you don't think I'm going to hide you under a bucket? I'm putting you on a light stand. Wow. Now that I put you there on a hilltop on a light stand, shine. So it's a command. God is commanding you to shine. Keep open house. Be generous with your lives. By opening up to others, you prompt people to open up with God, this generous Father in heaven. Giving yourself permission to shine helps you to bring out the best in you and allows you to be a light to others. So who is Eloho? I know that you've heard my bio, my profile was read, but let me quickly tell you who I am now and who I used to be. As it was rightly said, I run Scotland's now. I mean, there was a point that I struggled to even say that. I run Scotland's #1 Christian radio station because I felt that I didn't deserve it. I didn't qualify, or I was not qualified for it. And so I used to shy away, from that. But today, I am the CEO of Heart Song Live, which started as a dream just to inspire people and encourage people. And I was in my little corner just doing my thing. I've been featured on UK Prime TV. For those who live in UK, I was on Come Dine With Me. Why? Because I was shining my light. When I decided to show up as my authentic self, when I decided to show up as not just a businesswoman, but a creative Christian business or creative woman in business, my light started to attract even people that were not Christians. And so I got invited to a cooking show, Come Dine With Me. And obviously, they knew my stand because it was clear and bold that I was Christian, but they wanted me to be on the show. And I think they had other plans. Probably they put me on there. They put some queer person on there as well, thinking that we were going to clash. But guess what? At the end of the 5 days that we recorded, everybody was singing, "Oh, happy day." Even the ones that were not Christians. So I got featured in that. When I started the radio station, it was just online. But today we are now on the local Edinburgh station. Why? Because I gave my self permission to shine. It wasn't always the case. Yeah, that was not the case in the beginning. I was so fearful. I lacked confidence. I didn't feel good enough. I had what you call imposter syndrome, and I'm sure most of us have heard it. Like I said at the start, I didn't feel like I deserved to run such a big organization. I didn't feel like I had what it took to run such an organization. So I was always afraid to shine my light. I had made some mistakes, in the past, and those mistakes held me back. It was like people will find out about you. I was abused by my own father, and I felt everybody knew, and I felt like the victim. So because of that, I didn't want to shine my light. I had what you call approval addiction. If someone didn't approve of me, I didn't go out. Or maybe I can put on a dress, and then as I'm stepping out, maybe somebody looks at me in a funny way, or somebody just makes a comment. That is it. My whole day is ruined. I was an approval addict, call it that way. Yeah, I wanted to please everyone. I was copying what other people were doing. I had a low self-esteem. In 2020, I had to write a book, You Are Not Everyone's Cup of Tea. And that's where, my deliverance started to come. Don't get me wrong, I had been organizing concerts since 2011. So I was doing the concerts year in, year out. Concerts were sold out. People were coming from all over the world. I had Bob Fitts there, I had Muyiwa, I had Cheryl Franklin. But still, I was not able to shine my light because of all of the things, the fear, the inferiority complex, the feeling of not good enough, timidity. I couldn't give myself the permission to shine. And so I will do the concert and people will be raving, but deep down in my heart, I'm feeling like I don't deserve all of these things you people are saying, because and the sad thing about that is I will organize the concert. My husband would invest so much money, but guess what? I will be too shy or afraid to sing because I felt my voice wasn't good enough. So I'll bring all my friends who I thought had great voices, for them to come and sing. So that was where I was. I was in that position. And then I kept going around the same circles over and over again because I was waiting desperately for someone to give me the permission to shine. I was waiting for the approval to be who God had called me to be. And I'm sure God in his mind would have been wondering, what's wrong with you, girl? I am the permission that you need. I am the validation that you need, not any of these people. But I struggled. And I think I got to a point where I said, enough is enough. I'm tired. I don't want to do this anymore, because I kept going around the same circles. I will make friends. And then I felt like um, my friends had the upper hand, always had the upper hand. And so if for some reason my friend wasn't speaking to me, that's it. I'm like, wow, what have I done now? And if you know how people will call you and say, Eloho, I need to speak to you. Maybe you've experienced that. My heart starts racing. What have I done? What have I done? Why is this person? That was the position I was in. But I said, you know what? Enough is enough. I'm tired. One of the very first things I did was to hire a coach, because I thought, I can't do this on my own. I've tried on my own. I can't do it. I need someone to help me, to guide me through the process. And the first thing my coach said to me was, Eloho, you are an eagle, but you're trying to fly with chickens. Wow. I was like, no way. You don't know the worth that you have. You don't know the value that you bring to the table. That is why you would allow people to treat you the way they are treating you. Do you know what? I had no boundaries. I had no boundaries at all, until enough is enough. Get a coach. Coach tells me that one word, and that was my liberation. And I mean, people who see me now, my friends who talk to me, they're like, I don't think this is the same Eloho I know. Because I was so shy, I was so timid. In fact, I watched one of the videos I did when I released my first album, and I was laughing because I was talking like, I was like, no way. When God had deposited so much, in me. So my question for you tonight is, what is holding you back from shining your light? What is holding you back? I hired a coach. I joined a community. I mean, community is so important. You can't do life alone. And so I joined a community. Obviously, part of the coaching relationship I had was to be a part of a community who would hold me accountable, who would look out for me, who were celebrating me. As soon as I changed the environment, and that's another thing, when you're seeking to shine your light, the environment that you are in is so important. I have a Scottish mama, and she says something: if someone is above you, push them up. If someone is below you, pull them up. So you want to be in that kind of environment where either way, you could be above or you could be below, but whatever the case, you're either pushing someone up or you're pulling someone up. Yeah, and that's what that community did for me. But the first thing I did after my coach said to me that you're an eagle trying to fly with chickens, I had to go to the Bible. I had to go back to my maker. I was like, okay, God, I'm tired of doing this on my own. Yeah. I've just heard this brilliant thing. I've loved you. I've served you. But obviously I knew something was missing. You could even tell from my countenance. So who am I? What have you called me to be? Who have you called me to be? Who have you destined me to be? And that's why I went into scriptures. I started looking for scriptures, that affirmed me and who I was in Christ. So those three things helped me. And reading books helped me to begin to gain confidence in myself. I mean, if you had called me to come and speak at Manifest, maybe, I know it started in 2020, but if you had called me maybe like 2016, 2017, you wouldn't be getting this from me. But going back to God, asking, who am I? What have you called me to be? Actually looking for scriptures. I started even using affirmations. Hiring a coach and being a part of community was what helped me to now start to see the value in myself and give myself the permission to shine. So what is holding you back? Like me, you probably are afraid that, somebody will say, it's not good enough. Ma Daphne, you're afraid of criticism and failure. I used to be so afraid of criticism. I didn't want it. Do you know what? Now, when people criticize me, I love it. Why? Because it helps me get better. I go back and say, okay, where can I improve? This person, criticism hurts. It does hurt, but the person might be telling you the truth. And so I go back. I've learned not to take things personal. No way. I don't take anything personal anymore. So some of the things that may be holding you back is that you're afraid of criticism. You're afraid of failure. You're afraid that if I shine my light, someone will shut me up. But no, God has called you to be light. God has called you to bring the God colors of the earth. He has commanded you to shine. You don't need anybody's permission. You don't need anybody's permission at all. And I always say, if you follow me on my social media posts, I always say that there's somebody out there who's waiting for someone exactly like you. You may be on social media. I teach a lot on social media and brand visibility and all of that. Maybe because they're not liking your post or commenting, you start to feel hurt. They don't like me. It's not good enough. That's why they're not liking it. Forgetting that the algorithm is all over the place. So you are waiting for the right time. And that's a good word. Oh, it's not the right time, Eloho. I know God will speak to me. God has been speaking, but you're waiting for the right time. You're still waiting for the right time. You feel overlooked and underestimated. You know what? For me, when I was going through my process, my journey, I knew that I had so much in me to give. There was so much in me, but how would anybody know that there was so much in me if I did not show them what was in me? And that's where some of us are. You know that you bring so much to the table. You know that you have so much value to give. But because people are not recognizing it, you're like, no, I'm not going to shine my light. But baby, give yourself the permission to shine. What started happening to me was when I started giving myself permission to shine, all of the people who were in quotes, well, they were not really against me, but all of the people who treated me unfairly started to come back. And they started asking me to interview them. I was like, seriously? Is this what happens when you give yourself permission to shine? When you don't need anybody's permission? So you may be afraid that you'll be found out. You know, sometimes the mistakes we make in the past hold us back from shining our light. And I was in that point for a long time. I made some silly mistakes. And I'm thankful for those mistakes, because if not for those mistakes, I wouldn't even be here. But because I was holding on to the pain of the mistake, I was regretting my actions. I couldn't shine my light. I was afraid of rejection. And I know you are in that place as well, where you're fearing rejection. They're going to reject me. But you know what? The best of us have all been at this exact same spot. For you, it may be something else. For Oyebola, it may be something else. But we always have one thing that's holding us back. You may even be putting yourself out there. And that's another thing. I was, funny enough, when I was going through my process, I was still showing up. I was still putting myself out there. But I was holding myself back from living to my full potential, from being so confident in what the assignment God had given me. So I was still holding myself back. So the best of us may have been in this exact spot, but you know what? We can fix it. I want you to put in the comments and say, it can be fixed. It can be fixed. When you finally let go of all of your fears, amazing things will begin to happen. It was when I started giving myself the permission to shine. I wrote my first book, or my second. I wrote 2 books in 2020. I wrote a devotional, and then I wrote the book, You Are Not Everyone's Cup of Tea. And it was like, everybody was like, wow, Eloho, this is what we've been feeling. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for sharing your journey. People want to be inspired by your journey. They don't want a perfect Angela. They don't want an Angela who comes in like, I know it all, I do. No, they want to be inspired by the process, by the journey. This is where I was. This is how I dealt with it. This is where I am now. So when I wrote that book, You Are Not Everyone's Cup of Tea, I gave myself permission to write that book. And when I was writing it, I was scared. I was like, would they accept it? Which is what a lot of us go through. Maybe there's a book you want to write now, but you're like, would people accept it? Or you want to start a podcast. Will people accept it? You can never know until you try. You will never know until you give yourself that permission to say, you know what? I'm releasing my podcast on the 1st of December. And you put it out there. The people you have been sent to will receive it. You're not sent to everyone. Give yourself permission to shine, sis, because amazing things happen when you begin to shine your light. So how do we fix this? Let's start with the obvious. You are not everyone's cup of tea. I want you to say that to yourself. I am not everyone's cup of tea. Not everybody has to get me. That's fine. Not everybody has to like me. That's okay. But the people that have been sent to, even if it's just one person, 2 people, 10 people, 50 people, their life is going to change. And they also, it's like a ripple effect. When you invest in somebody's life, they go out there to become. But you've got to first give yourself the permission to shine. And say to yourself, I am not everyone's cup of tea. I am not everyone's cup of tea. You've got to know in your knower, as they say, who you are. Go back to God and say, who am I? And know that you belong in the space that you are in. You bring value in whatever space you are in. People may not get you. People may not understand you. I was in that position for a while where I felt nobody understood me. But I just kept doing me. I just kept being me. And now the same people are inviting me or wanting to come on my radio show. It's okay. Nobody will not everybody will read your book. It's fine. Not everybody will listen to your podcast. Not every person will watch your YouTube, for instance. It's okay. Those who you have been sent to will read it. Give yourself permission to shine. Secondly, realize that, all of the fears, all of the confidence issues, all of the people who will not get you, all of the things that are holding you back will always be there. They're not going to go away. And that's the truth. All of the stereotypes, it will not go away. But you've got to determine in your heart that, you know what, I'm going to show up regardless. I will make mistakes. Fine. That's the beautiful thing, because I'm learning on the journey. And that's one thing I have learned. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to continually make mistakes. But the mistakes are helping me to become. So show up regardless. And one thing that you need to know is that if you don't show up and shine your light, you are depriving someone of the value that you bring. You've got so much on the inside of you. You are loaded. But you're waiting for pastor or daddy or sister or husband to give you the permission to shine. You've got to give yourself the permission to shine. It's you and God. God has given you an assignment. Not everyone would approve of it. But when they begin to see the difference that your value is bringing to the table, trust me, they will come on board. They will join you. They will celebrate you and celebrate with you. As I said at the start, finding a supportive community helped me, to believe in myself, to believe more in myself. It gave me permission to shine. So you need a cheerleading community. You need a cheerleader. And one thing I've learned also is if you're in a community that's not serving you, leave. It's hard, but leave. Because it's only then that you'll be able to stand up, give yourself permission and say, this is what I've been called to do. I did it so many times and I will do it over and over again. It's even good for our mental health. So if you want to give yourself permission to shine, you've got to do it afraid. You've got to feel the fear, but do it anyway. You've got to ditch the need to be approved and liked by every person. You've got to stop the comparison game. Stop it. Because if you keep comparing yourself to the other person, you will never move from where you are. You will always feel less of yourself. Accept yourself for you. Accept you for you. You're an eagle. Stop flying with chickens. Stop giving people the permission to run your life. No. I love this next one. Celebrate other people. When you celebrate other people, I think there's a philosophy, even the Bible says it, bless that which you want. The Bible says, give and it shall be given back unto you, good measure, pressed down, shaking together and running over. You're wanting to shine your light. You're wanting to build, build a business. You're wanting to build a brand or a ministry. Celebrate other people who have gone ahead of you. Don't do this comparison game. No. Celebrate them. Realize that you do not need to be fixed. One of the things that I struggled with was, maybe there's something wrong with me. There's something not right, and so I struggled to shine my light until I realized that I do not need fixing. You do not need fixing. Say that to yourself. I don't need fixing. I am who God has made me to be. I will shine in that space where God has made me to be. For you, it might be being on a big platform, going viral. But for others, it may just be a little community where you are influencing. But realize that you do not need fixing. I read books. Books have helped me on my journey to give myself permission to shine. I practice affirmations. You also can practice affirmations. I am the head. I'm not the tail. I know who I am. I am bold. I am strong. I am courageous. Wow. My kids taught me this too. I am not empty-hearted. I'm not cold-hearted. I'm generous. I'm kind. I'm a giver. Practice affirmations. You can journal. I know there are lots of writers here. You can journal. Journaling also helped me. And you can start a challenge, a gratitude challenge. One of the things that helped me was I began to, step into my, how do I say this? I began to step into who God created me to be. You know how you know that God has positioned you to be so and so. You've even had confirmation from prophecies and dreams. But you're struggling to take that step. So I started to do challenges. Today we're going to do 21 days of gratitude, for instance. I remember the first challenge I did, I think it was it Proverbs or something, 30 days in Proverbs. We started that. The amount of people that registered, I was like, wow. So you can start a challenge and then you can journal. Finally, 3 things that will help you to shine your light is to get radically clear on your purpose. Get radically clear on your mission. Get radically clear about the business, the brand, the ministry. Obviously, you're going to learn through the process. You're going to evolve through the process. But once you begin to gain clarity, you're giving yourself the permission to shine. And like I always say to my clients, clarity comes from doing. You can't sit back and relax. And yes, I said practice affirmations. You can't sit back, relax, practice affirmation, and clarity will come. No, clarity comes from doing. So clarity comes from making mistakes. Clarity comes from learning, relearning, unlearning. So get radically clear on your purpose, on your mission. And that's why you need a coach to help you. Secondly, your visual identity. How do you want to make people feel? I've just written a book that should be out on the 28th of October by the grace of God, all things being equal. And I talk about all of this in that. Your visual identity. How do you want to make people feel? How do you want to show up? And then lastly, you've got to learn how to produce content. These are things I teach in my course. I have an 8-week course called Evolve, but I teach all of this. So those 3 things, I wanted to end with that. You must have clarity and get a coach to help you. Build a visual identity that is recognizable, and then start to show up in your content with your videos as the authority that you are, as the light that God has called you to be. So give yourself the permission to shine. There's so many people waiting on you to just show up. Don't keep them waiting. You're too loaded. There's too much of God in you to stay hidden. I did that for a long time when I was struggling. I'm a Christian, I'm a singer, I'm a worship leader, I'm a radio broadcaster. I want to do business. Okay, let's put the Christianity. I failed completely until I just aligned everything. And that's where clarity came from. So who is Eloho? This is me. This is who God has called me to be. How do I do it? So I do it through the business. I do it through my preaching. I do it through my teaching and coaching. So that's me. Thank you so much. I hope that's been of value to you today.